Councilor Wolf. Council President Hu.
Here.
Mayor Lube.
Here.
Youth Councilor Vogel.
Here.
Councilor Shaw.
Here.
Thank you.
If everyone will stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everyone. First off, happy Election Day, Tigard. You have a remaining 88 minutes to get to the ballot box and drop off your ballot. It is too late to have it postmarked, but you can continue to drop it off right outside City Hall, and I'm enjoying seeing all of the cars coming through. Please keep voting, and then it will be done at 8 p.m. And we have two important things on the ballot, and we hope that you vote. City Council or city teammates, any non-agenda items this evening?
Good evening, Mayor. We do have an additional item. It's a resolution appointing Aaron McCool as a voting member to the Budget Committee. And so you may take it up wherever you'd like. I'd suggest maybe after public comment.
Yep, agreed.
Right.
I think that's a great place for it.
All right,
and the council was made aware that we would be putting that on, so it is not a surprise to the council. Anything else? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to proclamations and recognition. We are very honored to proclaim May 19th through 25th as National Public Works Week. I think our Public Works team does a really incredible job of maintaining what I think is really kind of the infrastructure of our city and working all times of the day to make sure that we are safe and all of our systems are functioning and do a really incredible job. So it's wonderful to be able to recognize them this week. So that's very exciting to do. And then May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, which is also really important to make sure our community is honored and recognized in the city of Tigard. So that is for the entire month. We are also honoring the Tigard Chamber Shining Stars winners. Last week before, 2 weeks? Week and a half, thank you. A week and a half ago, it was the Tigard Chamber of Commerce Shining Stars event. Incredible as it was the 50th anniversary of celebrating our community members, and there's some really wonderful recognition that takes place. Ray Ellison with Melaleuca was named the 2024 Tigard Chamber Ambassador of the Year. The ambassadors do an incredible job at representing our business community to other businesses and just around the city to share their goodwill, and Ray is always there and is always friendly and awesome. We have Ron Royce and John Chamberlain, who were selected as the 2024 Shining Stars from the Heart Volunteers of the Year. Fit Alliance, owned by Lisa Rhodes and Jordan Heiss, has been selected as the 2024 Tigard Chamber Business of the Year. Fit Alliance, I see everywhere all the time, and Lisa and Jordan are awesome just participating in our community. I saw them at the farmers market. They had a booth working with our community, and so just lovely recognition for them. There is an all-time high of Tigard Chamber of Commerce scholarships, which is incredible. Those dollars are sponsored directly from our Chamber of Commerce members, which is incredible to have our business community give back and have an all-time high for our scholarships. I mean, I know for me, going to college was impossible without scholarships, and it's really just helping to make such a big difference to our students and believing in our community. So we have Benjamin Muniz, Colin Weakling, Daphne Sanchez Flores, Delaney Cheney Schultz, Liliana Teraboccia, and please let me know if I butcher anything, Miriam Haswari, Mason Thomas, Mastin Karam, Seth Reish, and Zach Yeager. So I hope all of these Tigard students do an awesome job wherever their new adventures take them. We also have Dr. Raquel Miller, a finance educator and coach with Wealth Wave, and they were named the 2024 Tigard Chamber Volunteer of the Year. Our very own Maddie Bauer, our community engagement coordinator for the Tigard Police Department, has been named the 2024 Tigard Chamber Young Professional of the Year. And I don't know about you, but Maddie is everywhere. and has done an incredible job of being an ambassador for our police department and our community, bridging that gap and just making sure that everyone is taken care of. So, I mean, Friday at the Cook Family Park renaming, there was a child who was separated from their parents. And Maddie just went into, solve it mode and helped us find the parents. And she's just always thinking about our community too, which is incredible. We had Ephraim Woolsey as the 2024 Tigard Youth Volunteer of the Year. And last but very not least, we have Karen Emerson, who was selected as the 2024 Tigard First Citizen. Karen has been an incredible community member who just has volunteered and contributed in so many ways. It's just so fitting that she is Tigard's First Citizen this year. And we do have Karen here. Would you like to come up and say anything or get a picture with all of us? What would you like? Picture. Okay. So Karen, will come on up and get a picture. Next on our agenda is public comment. If you'd like to call in now, please do so now to get in the queue. The phone number is 503-966-4101. And we have follow-up to previous public comment with Assistant City Manager Tritch.
Good evening, Council. Assistant City Manager Tritch here. Last week we had one written comment about safe lots, and that community member received a response from our own Strategic Initiatives Manager, Kim Mazel. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the Tigard Chamber of Commerce with Tom Engel to give a report. Come on up. Welcome.
For those of you who haven't been outside recently, there's this beautiful line of voters lining up to drop their ballots off. And while I also am a last-minute person, it's just nice to see people participating. You have the report in front of you. Just a few things I wanted to update. Leadership Tigard, they had a really good media day. KPTV, the city of Tigard, apparently our mayor was there as well. Edge One Media, really good day. Some great connections were made there. Reminder that the Public Policy Committee is virtual, so that if anyone is interested in participating or in joining in that conversation, please sign in. We have endorsed the public safety levy, the TV F&R levy, and former Mayor Snyder for Washington County Commissioner. We are looking forward to seeing the results tonight. Thank you for highlighting the 10 scholarships. I joked with some people that sometimes Shining Stars for me feels like therapy, because we're always bogged down with what's wrong in the world, and then you get to hear about all these wonderful people just doing kind things, and some of them are just stunned that they're recognized, but they just keep going on out there and giving and giving. I did want to say that I did outbid myself to have lunch with the mayor, so sorry, Mayor, but I wanted to make sure that no one jumped in at the last moment, so you and I are having lunch again.
Excellent. I had a great time last time,
Well,
so
good.
let's do it again.
I need to bring a new friend, I think.
That sounds great.
Okay. The Sustainability Fund, 5 applications pending. Don't have a lot of details, but we should have some more for you at the next update. Wanted to just highlight, we've been very fortunate to have some good sponsors for the farmers market that it's kicked off. BioLife Plasma, Northwest Natural, Umpqua Bank, SQ Merchant Services, the Soil and Water Conservation District. Market's in full swing. The Good Morning Tigard events, they've always been fun, but we're getting a lot of people. And it's just a reminder that for those of you who just want to try to get a snapshot about what's going on either in the business community or just a segment of it, it's a really fun get-together. It's semi-scripted, it's casual, and yes, you'll be in a room of strangers, but you're welcome, and it's a great way to see what's going on. Walking into someone's business gives you a slightly different feeling than hearing about it or reading about it. Networking, GMT Thursday AM. The key dates: Tiger graduation for Leadership Tiger coming up on the 18th. Festival of Balloons is a really fun networking event beyond the fact that the balloons are there, and it's really fun too. The annual board meeting on the 24th, the State of Business September 25th, and of course, please follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and any other social media something or other that we sign on to. So with that, questions, thoughts?
Any questions or anything? Yeah, Council President Anton?
And good morning, Tiger. This Thursday is at Tiger Public Works, right? If I remember correctly.
I have to look at the calendar.
I think it is, so, yeah.
That's what I have to do at the last moment, so.
That's like 2 days away. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for those of you who could make it to the Shining Stars event. Again, it's a really good celebration of what's right, and it's just nice to hear what people are contributing.
No, it's an incredible event. It's awesome. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Tigard High School student envoy Julie Hernandez-Botello. Are you with us tonight, Julie?
Hi, yes, I am.
Yeah.
I'm just through Zoom tonight because I had some college decision making to make, so I apologize for being virtual today. But a lot has happened the past few months about leadership, sports, and arts, and community service. Currently, leadership, Spirit held their annual spikeball tournament last Saturday, and it was with Wallaton, so that was exciting and definitely something that we are thinking about continuing. Our Random Acts of Kindness Committee is starting to throw some before summer events like otter pops, flowers, and car messages, all random just to brighten someone's day, especially before finals. This morning, our club council and funds committee threw their last club president breakfast, so that was super fun. And Activities is actually holding a movie night under the stars, and it's going to be on the 1st, and it's just going to be at the Tigard football field, and all Tigard High School students can come and watch a movie with their friends that night, so it's super fun. Something new, and that's always a good thing. Me and Owen, my ASB vice president, are starting to plan next school year, and we figured out a lot of different positionings. And actually, our next year's ASB president, which is Maddie, actually, we're working on ASB members. So we have over than 30 applicants for the next school year. So it's amazing. In terms of sports, spring sports have ended. A lot of the senior nights have happened, and Tigers girl tennis went to districts, and actually Sydney Board made it to state, so that's great. Signing day was about 2 weeks ago, so Tigard High School students who are planning to play sports during college were able to have this huge event with families, and it was just great to see. Arts, our concert and chamber choir competed in their respective competition last month and placed 4th place. May 30th, choir is holding their last concert of the year, and it's going to be at the Deb Fennell Auditorium, so please come if you can. And band and orchestra concerts is actually tonight, so it's actually right now, but it's great to know and acknowledge. Community service, we actually have a blood drive the 22nd, noon to 5 p.m. So if you're able to donate, you can totally email me and I'll give you guys some information. Mary Woodward is holding their annual carnival, so many different clubs are coming to help volunteer, and that's sort of like the rush and what people enjoy doing during the end of the year is helping the different Mary Woodward feeding schools with their carnivals. But the year's slowing down. There's many different summer opportunities starting and senior awards, so it's really good to see. So, is there any questions at all?
No questions, but it's also a busy and I assume stressful time for you too with college decisions and those sorts of things. So thank you for being here tonight. Does anyone have any questions or anything? No? Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your evening and we appreciate you being here, Julie.
Thank you.
All right, next we have the police chief update with interim police chief McDonald. We do also have our former police chief, Kathy McAlpine, in the audience. Did you just want to sit up here? Do you miss sitting at all?
Hey, I'm happy to give you a BPSST update. You guys were instrumental in, getting the backlog addressed. So if you guys want an update on the backlog, happy to do it.
Honestly, if you can summarize it, yeah, I think we'd absolutely love to hear it after interim chief. Excellent. Okay.
Podium here with Chief McDonald.
All right.
Chief, I'm going to give it to you first, so.
Thanks, Chief. I appreciate it. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jamie McDonald. I'm your interim Chief of Police. And tonight I decided, rather than going over the details in the dashboard from April, although I will hit on the fact that we still continue to trend kind of in the wrong direction. We're up on all of our areas, the larger areas, percentage-wise year over year. But the one thing that we continue also to be up on is that self-initiated activity that I mentioned over the last couple of months, and we're up 21% year over year. And that's a direct reflection on us getting more staffing on the road. So I wanted to bring that up. But more importantly, what you see in front of you tonight is something that Chief McAlpine had reported to you on a few months back. It's called My90, and it's a survey tool that's done anonymously after an officer has gone to take care of a call for service. It goes out via text, and it's worked on through the dispatch system, and someone gets an opportunity to answer several questions about the interaction they had with the officer that they worked with. And what you see there shows actually up to the date. That was on May 7th when this was prepared. If you look at it today, it's actually slightly different. So the number on the far right for very positively how they viewed the interaction actually shows 857 as of like 3 o'clock this afternoon. So it continues to update. So if you were to go in there and look tomorrow, the numbers will probably be slightly different because it updates every single day. The ones I focus on most closely are on the left side, though, the ones that say very negatively or negatively. So those actually today said 28 and 37. So that's where I like to try and peel back the layers and find out why the interaction didn't go as how we would like it to go. So next slide, please. On this slide, you can see what was the reason that you didn't receive the help you needed. And so we look at those, and there's a couple that I have a hard time, or that people might have a hard time with. They were outside the jurisdiction is one of them. But the one that I really care about the most is an officer did not respond or follow up with me. That's where we missed an opportunity to have a touch point with someone in the community. And for whatever reason, that didn't happen, and that's what we work on trying to resolve. My goal is to make sure that that is zero. And most months, as you can see, it's 2 to 4 people are responding with that they did not get a response back from an officer. That's what we're working to correct, is to make sure that people aren't having that level of service, because that doesn't meet the expectations the community has, and quite honestly doesn't meet my expectations either. So sometimes people are upset because we tell them it isn't a police matter, and oftentimes that is the case, but what we also try to do is help them to find the alternative, to give them some level of direction on where they might be able to go. And the final slide tonight, next slide please, shows you what are the top safety concerns for folks in our community. And like I said, this is live time, so you can see where people's biggest concerns are. And these are folks that have called us for police services, and this continues to be updated. And so some of this information is actually available on our transparency page. We don't have all of it, but if at any point any of you would like to look at it, I'd be happy to share with you all of the information that we get, because it does ask a battery of questions, and it is a very informative tool for us to be able to use. And interestingly enough, one of the other things that we look at is what would you like Tiger Police to do more to improve safety in your community? And half of the respondents say increase patrol car visibility, basically in their neighborhoods, 50%. And then there's 5 or 6 others that take up the other 50%. So when you start talking about that hiring and getting more officers on the road, clearly what the community is looking for is more visibility. So that's where we get the most value of getting the officers trained and out on the road and out on their own. So anyway, that concludes what I have for this evening. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to take those now.
Thank you. So I think my question to you is going to dovetail sort of perfectly with the top concern of houselessness. I've been receiving a lot of feedback of individuals who have noticed that the houselessness is becoming more visible in our community because of our time, place, and manner, where we were required to put in a time, place, and manner, and in order, we legally have to allow camping in our city, and in order to keep it out of our business areas and our residential areas, we opened up city-owned property to do that, which is why there's a lot of camping going on around the library. Can you talk a little bit about how you're working with the library to ensure that everybody's safe and how Officer Orth and others are enforcing our time, place, and manner?
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Mayor. There's several things that we're working on surrounding not only our houseless community members. Obviously, one of the things we're trying most focused to do is connect those folks to the correct level of services that they need. So we're working with community partners to try and connect those folks to the right level of service for their circumstances. And so we have a couple of officers. Officer Orth is one of them. We have a community service officer and then another police officer that works on some of the days that Officer Orth is not working to try and make sure that we're having those touch points as often as possible with folks. To the point of the time, place, and manner ordinance, going back a couple of years, every city in the state is required, or every jurisdiction, to include counties as well, cities and counties, are required to have a municipal code that addresses time, place, and manner of camping, right? So the city has established certain parts of the city where camping is allowed. One of those locations, and they're all on public property, right? City-owned property. One of those locations is the library. One of the things that we do almost every day, it's rare that we miss a day, is we're over there checking on those folks. Usually it's in the morning, reminding them of what time they need to have packed up their belongings and be moving along, or they'd be in violation of the municipal code. There's several tools at our disposal when folks aren't following that code, and we use those from time to time. Another part of it, Mayor, as you mentioned, it's becoming more visible, and at this time of year, we start seeing it more and more as well because it's daylight earlier and daylight later. And so a lot of times where folks had the cover of darkness, they were still there camping, and the cover of darkness was enough that people weren't seen. We're seeing them more because it gets light at 5 o'clock in the morning and it's not dark until close to 9 p.m. So that is part of why we're seeing more. It's not necessarily that we have more people in town. It's that we're seeing more of them because of daylight. And we see this often at the changing of the seasons, right? We usually see a spike as the weather gets better, and then again we'll see a spike as the weather turns again in the fall. And that's pretty common. But in addition to monitoring the time, place, and manner, we're still making sure we're working with our team members at the library to make sure that folks that are using the library are following the library use guidelines. And when they don't, we hold them accountable. And there's a couple of processes that we can use through municipal code as well as criminal law if necessary in order to hold people accountable.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there additional questions? Yeah, Council President Hu.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one question. Sorry for missing. You probably mentioned where's the source of this last slide? Is it from a survey or is it from the crime report?
So this is through the program My90 that comes out. If say for example, if you called the police and we came out and you had an interaction with an officer, there's a criteria that is that decides who gets that anonymous survey, and it gets texted to you. It's a survey link. You fill out, you hit the link, and then that's where this data comes from.
Thank you. Yeah, I just thought the survey only asked if you're satisfied or not, but I didn't realize they asked.
Sure.
this
And
as well.
this is live, so
Okay.
next month the data will look different too.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Former Chief McAlpine, you're up. Can you turn your mic on?
See, already lost skill set. Mayor and council, it is my honor to be before you today. So Kathy McAlpine, retired Tigard Police Chief, and now in the role of DPSST Professional Standards Division Director.
Can you tell everybody what DPSST stands for?
Department of Public Safety Standards and Training. In short, your police academy for the state of Oregon. What I do want to share with you, because I've come from you for I think probably the last 2 years, talking about the backlog at DPSST and how we had, when we would hire somebody, there might be as high as a 7-month wait before they can even get into the academy and let alone get on the FTO. So we weren't seeing people till 18, 20 months where they count against the staffing level that Chief McDonald talked about that the community wants. And through all of basically the municipalities, the counties, talking to the state legislator, that was heard loud and clear. And so funding was put towards those efforts to expand the academy classes to 360 classes, the funding for the trainers and so forth. And I can tell you, I think the last 60 classes, I'm graduating this Friday. I can tell you that the backlog is now no longer a backlog. It's within the statutory requirements, which is 90 days. And so it's commendable to everybody who voiced a concern, that came together and tried to figure out how we could solve this backlog. And it's now within the acceptable timeframes. And so we went out on a listening tour of about 1,900 miles to all 4 corners of the state. We were in Washington County just hearing from all of the agencies on their needs and what DPSST can do. And most of what we heard were the positive about just getting that backlog taken care of was very much appreciated. So I want to personally thank, I know the efforts that all of you did to put that gentle pressure. It paid off. Thank you very much, and just want to be here in spirit for election night. So thank you.
Thank you for the update. We harass Chief McDonald asking for updates and ensuring that the process is working. So it's nice to hear from the source. And we want to ask you again. Does anybody have any questions regarding the training? No? Thank you so much for the update. We appreciate it. We did not receive any written public comment by noon yesterday. Deputy City Recorder Raimundo, has anyone signed up to comment in person?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wold, are there any phone callers in the queue or anyone wishing to testify by video this evening?
Mayor, there are no callers in the queue and no requests for video comment.
Okay, thank you so much. Next is our non-agenda item, which is a resolution appointing a budget committee member, Aaron McCool, as a voting member of the budget committee. We had an opening, and I interviewed Aaron maybe a week and a half ago now at this point. And Aaron has attended the 2 budget committee meetings, sort of as a community member who also asks questions. He is thoughtful and has done a really great job. So I am happy to put him forward, recommending him as a voting budget committee member. Are there any questions, comments, or a motion?
Mayor, I have a motion. I move to approve resolution number 24-11.
I second.
Will the city recorder read the number and title of the resolution?
Resolution number 24-11, a resolution appointing Aaron McCool as a voting member to the Budget Committee.
Thank you. Will the city recorder please conduct a roll call vote, starting with the Youth Councilor Vogel for an advisory vote?
Youth Councilor Vogel,
Yes.
Council President Hu,
Yes.
Mayor Lube,
Yes.
and Councilor Shaw.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 24-11 passes with the unanimous vote of the council present. We now have the city manager report with City Manager Reimer.
Thanks, Mayor. Good evening again. Good evening, counselors, members of the community, and my teammates that are here. I'll be brief as well. Happy Election Day, as you've already noted, so we'll keep moving. I also wanted to touch base on National Public Works Week, so thank you for recognizing our teammates. This year's theme is Advancing Quality of Life for All, and I think as you started to talk about, Mayor, our built environment, the infrastructure that we have, the way we keep it up, I think it's just a real credit to our teammates. Public Works is our second largest, right behind police, but we have 92 teammates in that department doing a great deal of work day in and day out, building new, maintaining what we have, working collaboratively with our community and other departments. So just a shout out and thanks to our many Public Works teammates for their efforts. Just a couple other quick things. Our library and community development department are partnering with Oregon Clean Power Cooperative and Solar Oregon. For this Thursday on May 23rd at 6:30, we're hosting the Community-Driven Transformation, and we'll just talk about collective investments, how they can enhance preparedness, response, and recovery during emergencies and making our communities safer and more resilient, something that we've been talking about. And then we also have our coffee and conversation at the library the same day, this Thursday from 9 to 10. And then there'll be a break this summer. Just as a reminder, last month in April, we had 19 people attend. So the community is responding to come and meet our library teammates and just get to know all the great things that we're doing. And that concludes my remarks. Thanks.
Does anyone have any questions regarding the city manager report? No? Seeing none, we will move on to the council liaison reports. Which side would like to start? Oh.
I have to move awkwardly close to you to make this work. TIAC has been great lately. We have kind of had some sporadic meetings just due to holiday breaks, but we will be meeting again on the 10th. This last week, TIAC members were able to help with State of the City, which was great because that kind of gave them an insight on a great city event. I heard very positive feedback. We also have been prepping for 3 movies in the park, so just coming up with new ways we can support and be there. Hopefully we have good member turnout. We did have Executive Assistant Hathaway come from the city as a guest and speak about mental health as well as youth involvement with Move with the Mayor. We had some talk as a group of like what kind of guest speakers we wanted to come in, and so mental health was something that we've talked about a lot, and she was a great person to come in. We were going to have a hygiene drive, that is no longer happening just with the speed up of the end of the school year and our president leaving. That is no longer able to happen, but I really hope that it will be back next year, and we're going to look to push it effectively next year. So, yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for everything TIAC did for State of the City. It was so fun to have you all there. Councilor Shaw?
Great, thank you. Also, too, want to thank our teammates and who are in the Public Works Department for the great work that they do. The Water Advisory Board met, and kudos to our city teammates who are working on Tyler to update our utility billing and to modernize them. Great news, we're right on target for September rollout, which will include online, over the phone, and also 2 languages of English and Spanish to assist individuals. And our library is going to host information meetings, so lots of information, robust communications. A plan will be also rolled out at the same time, so it will not be a surprise to our community members. I'm fortunate now to be the council liaison to the library board. Unfortunately, as we know, former councilor Jay Raj Singh was the primary councilor. I was the alternate, but now in the primary. Very exciting. The library board is doing so much. So just in short, they introduce a new teammate each month, and this month we got to meet Violet, who is working on the city volunteer management software. And that's exciting because the first time I actually got a reminder to go to the Tigard Public Market or the Tigard Farmers Market and work in the booth. So it was a great reminder. Thank you, Nicole. Also mentioned a Pride Month, and they're going to be supporting the Pride Proclamation. They're also going to be flying the Pride flag at the library for the month of June. Also, they served as, because there was a heat wave, they closed early just because there wasn't the HVAC and the cooling system in place, but they did serve as a cooling center in the larger meeting room. 50 volunteers attended the volunteer event that the City of Tigard put on, so thank you to our volunteers for showing up, and thank you for the city of recognizing the volunteers. In addition, the Seed Library will soon be launched, as well as the music is going to be organized by the Dewey System, similar to our books. can share that more if anyone's interested. And with regards to tax returns, they had 994 returns that were filled out for our senior citizens. So fantastic turnout. In addition, I attended the Tiger Transportation Advisory Committee meeting, and we had updates on the Tiger Trail System, the Tiedemann Avenue, the 20 is Plenty. There was an update, which is going well. And then also a new initiative, which is electric mobility and curbside management, which is going to be discussed amongst a committee of experts. And it was exciting. Lots going on in all three. Thank you.
Any questions? No, seeing none. Council President Hu.
Thank you, Mayor. Just the Town Center Advisory Commission, TDA, Tiger Downtown Alliance Executive Director gave a presentation of the accomplishment and the challenges they face. And one of the challenges they face is empty spaces in the downtown Tiger area from building owners who, for whatever reason, do not want to rent out their property. And that segued nicely into city teammate discussion of various proposals. They're going to come before City Council about ways to encourage those building owners to rent out their property, and that's coming before the council, so I'm not going to say anymore. And also, they were presented the TCDA budget, which we already know, and also the 72nd Avenue pre-design presentation, which the council already know as well. So that's all. Thank you.
Any questions? No. Okay, I have a couple of updates. I just wanted to say I went with the U.S. Conference of Mayors and joined the Houselessness Task Force and went to D.C. We spent the first day talking with several cabinet secretaries in the White House, and the second day running all over Capitol Hill under the little tunnels beneath. I hit over 5 miles, which was excellent. It was super fun, actually. Ran into Congresswoman Bonamici in the tunnels and Senator Wyden, so you never know who you'll see down there. But we were asking there was about 50 mayors from across the country, and it represented about 18 million constituents. And we spoke about 3 different things. The first was adjusting the way that veteran compensation is calculated for vouchers. It is inconsistent across government services. So for housing vouchers, their benefits is included, while if they apply for a mortgage, their benefits is not included. So depending upon the benefits they receive, that can easily bump them over the threshold to receive the vouchers. So veterans are having to choose between accepting their benefits or receiving housing vouchers. So lobbied for that, also lobbied for more vouchers in general. And the third piece of it was lobbying. So with the vouchers calculation, there's currently a cap of 20% being project-based vouchers, which means that when new housing developments are built, they can have permanently affordable units inside with those housing vouchers. So a development can be like, a couple of units or 10% or 50% and need those project-based vouchers, which is really important sometimes to help projects pencil out, especially in this economy, and so just encouraging them to increase that to 50% to provide more flexibility. Some communities don't need that, some communities do, because we could have a lot of people walking around with a voucher, but maybe not have a landlord who will accept it. They're not supposed to, but they absolutely do in practice. So trying to figure out ways that we can do that. I will say I've walked away. I've taken a lot of trips to DC lately, and actually walked away having really meaningful conversations with those 2 days, and really felt like everybody heard us, and it wasn't just lip service, which felt really, really good, and I felt like I was doing something and helping to move the needle on a national level, which was great, and a benefit that we can see back here in Tigard. The other thing I want to update you on is the Washington County Coordinating Committee. On Monday, we received 2 really great presentations, but one of them specifically continued the conversation on how the metro urban growth boundary is being looked at for the 20-year land supply. And one of the things I really appreciated is that Metro heard me or us in general, and is understanding that just because land has been in there doesn't mean that it actually is buildable land. So there's some land that has been in the urban growth boundary for 20 years and hasn't had a shovel touch it. So for us, I think, to prevent the urban sprawl, which I absolutely understand because we value our land, but we're doing a disservice when we have land in here that's supposed to be buildable that for a wide variety of reasons isn't. So in this next calculation, some of it will be excluded totally or calculated in a different kind of way. It was also interesting to hear their analysis that, to the surprise of nobody, anybody who has a kid and the expense of kids, people aren't having children, right? Our population is declining. And so thinking about that in the future of what does that mean? And also asking the questions of, are us now in 20 years going to be making the same housing decisions that maybe our parents are making? And so if there are different housing decisions, maybe it looks more like cottage clusters or whatever it may be. It may require a different kind of housing for an aging population. And what does that mean when we calculate the available land, right? Because calculating multifamily housing density and the amount of property that can be on an acre is very different than if you're looking at single family. So just very interesting ways that it's being thought about and calculated. So I thought that would be helpful to share. And last bit of news is I was contacted by Congresswoman Salinas that she did not move forward on recommending Universal Plaza for the congressionally directed spending or formally earmark process. She got over 40 applications and she can only submit 15. We were incredibly fortunate to have 3 projects this last year, so absolutely appreciate, and we will continue to ask the next round. So, any questions or comments? No? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is used for routine items including minutes and approval of contracts or intergovernmental agreements. Information on each item is available on the city's website in the packet for this meeting. Items may be enacted in one motion without separate discussion, and council members may request that an item be removed by motion for discussion and separate action. Tonight we have on-call engineering and related services, environmental permitting support services contract, safe routes to school Locust Street sidewalks, which is very exciting, contract amendment for Kruger Creek stabilization, contract amendment for Total Tyler Project consulting, and a contract amendment for executive recruitment services. Are there any questions or a motion?
Mayor, well, before I make a motion, I just want to quickly give a kudos to city teammates for updating the format of the council packet, because the information now provided, in my opinion, is very good and very, very clearly understood. So big kudos to city teammate for updating the format. And with that, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Will the city recorder please conduct a roll call vote?
Council President Hu,
Yes.
Mayor Liu,
Yes.
and Councilor Shaw.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
The motion is adopted by unanimous vote of the council present. Ooh. Well, the council president also did unanimously vote yes. We will move on to the Tigard Municipal Court annual report. Welcome up, Judge Oberdorfer. It's nice to have you.
It's nice to be here. It's fun to be on this side also. I hope I didn't mess up your chair.
I was going to say, did you see me raise it? So the judge and I have, I wouldn't even call it a battle, but she likes it low, I like it high.
Yeah, every Wednesday I'm moving it up and down. I am here to present the 25th annual review of the Tigard Municipal Court. I am especially grateful to be here on Election Day. Thank you to all of our elected folks, and I'm hoping to be out of here by 8 o'clock so I can keep hitting refresh. I am here in my suffragette whites on purpose, and I do want to call attention to our vote by mail system here in Oregon, which allowed me to have a complete docket of cases today and come to this meeting without ever having to stand in the rain or put anything on hold. So for everybody who made that happen for us, I am eternally grateful, and I hope that everybody adopts it in my lifetime. I also want to thank my beloved husband who rushed my ballot over today at the last moment. I got the text that I have in fact voted today, so that feels good. And I want to thank my teammates who took my thoughts and a really rough draft of this report and made this final report that you have before you and the PowerPoint while I was at the National Judicial College and unable to log into Citrix. So they really deserve a lot of credit and praise from me and hopefully from everybody for pulling this together. The report itself, we are a court of limited jurisdiction. We are established by Chapter 5, Section 21 of the Charter as it stands at this moment. If the charter revision passes, we're still there. We still exist. We are under Article 4, Section 4.3 of the new charter. I checked to make sure we're still there. We changed the wording of the mission for the Tigard Municipal Court. Our mission statement now is the mission of the Tigard Municipal Court is to achieve the just, fair, and timely resolution of all matters that come before us. In service to our mission, the Tigard Municipal Court is committed to ensuring that everyone who enters our court for any reason is treated with respect, dignity, and professionalism. I would like to thank you all as the legislative branch and the administrative branch to my right for really supporting us in that goal and allowing us to tweak things and make changes so we can be as equitable as possible and while ensuring excellent customer service. We are currently not a court of record, which means that any of the trials that come before me are appealable to Washington County Circuit Court for a trial de novo, a brand new trial starting on the new facts. Part of what we are trying to do is take some of the load off of Washington County Circuit Court by having the cases here. So it is possible that I will be before you with a new, more recent bid on how much it would cost to get the equipment and get that set up in the hopes that we can become a court of record. I put the statute number and stuff in the report and look forward to answering any questions that you might have about that either now or when I come back. Our caseload dropped significantly over the last year, 50% over 2 years, and that is largely due to photo enforcement tickets, and the city is currently taking part in interviewing new vendors. The RFP is a secret and private process, so I don't know exactly what's going on there except that it is working through the process on time and interviews are taking place, I think, next week. I don't have anything to do with that, but that guy back there might be able to answer some questions if you have them. I will also note that citations from in-person stops were slightly up from last year. Last year there was 1,883, and this year 2,345. So that means that human officers interacted with drivers on our roads about 500 more times in the last year. What we do here is provide excellent customer service for our entire community, for our colleagues here in Tigard, and anyone that comes before us. And we're trying to really personify the 5 E's. We like the way that the council has laid that out for us. We know exactly what we need to do. So as far as engagement this year, we continue to hold open court every week. That's from 10:30 to noon every Wednesday, most Wednesdays. And that's just an opportunity for anybody who has business with the court to come before me, unscheduled appearance, and try to move things forward with their case. This year, we also began drop-in hours once a month for folks that don't necessarily need help from a judge, but do need help from the court. So that could be as simple as helping get signed up for our online traffic safety education program, or if somebody wants to come in with their driving record and say, I can't figure out why I'm suspended, or I don't know what this nasty letter means. We can't give any legal advice, but we really have the ability to point people in the right direction to get the answers to to help them move forward, either getting their license back or resolving whatever issue they may have. So that is the first Thursday of every month, right here in this room, between 10 and noon. For folks that want to participate in the traffic school program that don't have access to a computer, we will lend them a laptop. We'll get them started here. They can either do the whole thing here if they want to, or they can come back. That has worked really well, and we also will help folks study for their driver's tests. A lot of folks are driving around without a license because they can't get through that test process. It's a really hard test. I failed it the first time. No shame there. So we're around to help answer questions and, again, point people in the right direction or give them practice tests. I'll make flashcards for you, like whatever it takes. I just want you to have your driver's license. I also we are participating in community events. We're going to march in the Pride Parade. We plan to be present at Juneteenth. I attended the kickoff meeting for the Safe Streets for All yesterday, and I'm looking forward to performing free weddings all month next month. We have some folks signed up. We're happy to take walk-ins as long as you have a license. You don't need to have witnesses. We'll witness it for you. It's a lot of fun. And, well, no, I don't want to say that. Okay. For the equity piece, we finally have a community service option available for folks that are unable to pay their court fines. It's not available for court fees. Those are set by you all, and I don't have the ability to waive a lot of those. But like a fine for the court for a traffic violation, if folks meet the criteria and they come and see me, I can allow them to do community service. We have a list of folks that they can do community service through, and we also allow them to do community service at any nonprofit, any 501c3, as long as they can get something on letterhead and give a phone number for a live human that I can call and make sure that they really exist. If I can find out they're a 501c3 and get them documentation, we will accept that. We give a deadline for that, and that seems to be working very well. Really exciting for us, our most commonly used documents, so our fee agreement, diversion agreements, trial notices, are now available in 7 languages. We offer that paperwork in Ukrainian, Russian, simplified Chinese, Korean, Arabic, Spanish, and English. So that means that folks that come in here, and those are our most common languages that we have interpreters for. So while we've been providing them with an interpreter to be here with them, when they leave with the documents telling them what they need to do, it's in a language that they are unable to read. So we have that available for them in their primary language.
Should you be asking for any sort of next slide?
Oh, no, I'm going to let it go.
Okay. I'm like, because you have, I think,
There's a cute picture of everybody.
There is. Can we do
Can
next
you find
slide?
a picture of everybody?
Yep.
There
we
you go. So one of the ways that you know that I didn't make this PowerPoint presentation is my hair. Like I wouldn't have picked that picture. But that's our team. That's everybody, and their names are over there. That's from our, we had like a winter warming party, and we did a white elephant, and that is the brief moment of quiet. We were doing a lot of laughing that day. Back to the report. The economy is a little bit of a difficult thing for the court to address directly, because I don't think about, part of my job is to kind of put away the budget. But what I can do is recognize that as the court, we need to be good stewards of the community fisc. And as such, we recognize that for a lot of folks, time equals money. So we are trying to protect staff and community members' time by making things as easy as possible for the folks that need to come and interact with us. So a couple ways that we have done that is worked with our communications department to make sure that we're consistently updating our website with the most up-to-date information and making it as easy as possible for folks to handle their court business online or over the the telephone. To that end, we worked with the police department to establish the Vehicle Compliance Program, which acts as a standing motion from the police department to dismiss a certain class of violations as long as the defendant is able to come in and show proof that they fixed it. So before that, we had to set the case for trial and bring the officer and the defendant and me and a court clerk, everybody in here so they could show a receipt or a picture of the driver's license or whatever it is. And now we can do all of that without scheduling the trial. And we have also recently made a video kind of showing people what to expect when they get here. So that should be on our website soon, showing folks how to get exactly to our window. We've highlighted our ADA doors, things like that, so people don't have to wander the permit center trying to find where we are. One of our goals from last year was to figure out how we could really pitch in with the council's goal for protecting our environment. And thanks with a gentle nudge from Finance Director Eric Kang, we have really taken great strides to move toward a paper on request system. So now we have worked with Julie Drinkwater at the City Recorder's Office to make sure that we're meeting all of our retention goals, and we're significantly using significantly less paper, and as time goes on, we'll be using less and less. So we're using a lot of the technology that you all are using right now, the screens, so the clerks can sit where Jesse is sitting and show stuff to me on my screen instead of having it printed out on a piece of paper. It seems very obvious we weren't doing it, and now we are. And that also makes things go a little bit faster. So it was a real win for everybody. We are about to make some changes in the court that are a long time coming. So when I first started here, I was hired as the presiding judge, appointed by council as the presiding judge, and soon after that I took over as the court administrator as well. And that was a temporary position, and we are now, a couple years later, doing an internal search for a new court operations supervisor, somebody else to manage the clerks. I am really looking forward to passing the baton on that one. It has really been a highlight of my career to supervise the folks that you see there. I think we've come a long way. I've really, really enjoyed it, and thank everybody for the opportunity. And I am really looking forward to watching one of my teammates grow into that position, and then I'll just be the judge again. And I'm excited. At first I had mixed feelings about it, because letting go, it's all been in my paws for a long time, but I am slowly releasing things out to my teammates, and that's going to be peaceful. A couple quick highlights. I'm getting close to that 8 o'clock mark where I need to be on the internet. So I was elected as vice president of the Oregon Judges Association. That was formerly the Oregon Municipal Judges Association. It's open to all judges now. I was also appointed by the Oregon Supreme Court to the Oregon State Bar Legal Ethics Committee and the House of Delegates. I completed a 2-week general jurisdiction course that was sponsored by the National Judicial College. They do education for judges across the country, Canada, Mexico, Guam, Supreme Court to municipal court. All kinds of judges pass through those doors. So that was a wonderful opportunity. I learned a whole lot. I also completed 3 one-week courses that were co-sponsored with the National Judicial College and the Federal Motor Carriers Safety Administration on commercial driver's license holders, the interaction, the special things that we need to do with CDL holders. One of those weeks was also focused on CDL holders and human trafficking, labor trafficking, and sex trafficking. I was, the invitation to participate in that got me an invitation to participate in the National Center for State Courts Human Trafficking Prevention Program, which will allow me to present nationally on that subject, and directly tying it with commercial drivers. I was also accepted into the University of Reno's Judicial Studies program, a master's degree program. Thank you, Emily Tritch, for the letter of recommendation. I'm not sure that I'm going to take them up on that opportunity, but it sure was nice to be accepted into that program. Our clerks, every one of the clerks that you see up there has attended a conference, the Oregon Association for Court Administrators. Everybody has had an opportunity to go to one of those conferences, and all of those folks are also taking turns yearly to participating in the Leadership Tigard program. We've got our 4th person going through the program now. Diana will go through the program next year if everything goes according to plan. There are also individual training opportunities and career advancement that different folks have taken part in. Kobe did a LinkedIn Learning DEI certificate, and folks are working on becoming state certified court interpreters. Everybody's kind of got their own path. Again, prompted by Eric Kang, we've really kind of narrowed down what we can do to grow all of our teammates. It's been really fun to watch them do that. And I think that is all I wanted to present from the report. There's more in the report that I didn't read out loud to you, but I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah, Youth Councilor Vogel.
Sorry. Thank you for such a lovely presentation. I don't know if I missed this, but how much of the charge does community service take count for? Is it like the whole portion of it, or is there like a little bit of it?
You didn't miss it. I didn't explain that because it's a little bit confusing. So I can't do a dollar for dollar amount without running afoul of some really confusing. So we pay an assessment for every fine on a traffic ticket. We pay an assessment to the state and the county. It's $66, $50 to the state, $16 to the county. I think I'm getting that right. Holly, I apologize if you're listening and I got that wrong, but I think that's right. So if I assess a fine at any point, we have to get that $66 to the state and county. If I order somebody to complete community service and there was never a fine assessed, then we don't pay them the $66. So in some cases where I find that they do have the ability to pay $66, I can impose that minimum fine and then add community service on top of it. If I find, for example, some of our community members, they're just not going to have the $66 and we don't want that, then I can say to them, I need 15 hours of community service, and then I won't bump up against the law requiring the disbursements.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Council President who?
Youth Counselor asked my question, but I just wanted to say...
It was a really good one.
Yeah, and I just want to say kudos to you and your teammates for being so involved in the community. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's been really fun. I got to go to Tiger 12. I got to go to the high school and meet with some students and talk about what it's like to be a judge, what it's like to work in municipal government. And I hope to have more opportunities to get out to the school soon. I spoke to about a dozen kids when I was there, a dozen young adults. I guess some of them were probably still kids, splitting hairs.
Councilor Shaw?
Yes, thank you, Judge. As I mentioned, I was at the Tigard Farmers Market at the city booth, and we had a flyer there for the free weddings in June. Very excited. Lots of folks took the flyers, and a lot asked if they could be remarried. I said I wasn't sure of that question, but just so you know, there may be some folks who come and ask for that. Second, this is probably an odd question, and I appreciate that you're providing the community hours as well as the traffic safety education program. In there, it says defendant has been convicted for a moving violation or traffic crime within the last 3 years. Do you know why it's 3 years? That's one of the eligibility requirements for the ability to take the education program online or in person.
It was 5 years when I got here, and I got a lot of pushback. A lot of people that had done one 4 years ago would come and ask if they could do it sooner than that. I took a look at the communities that are surrounding us. For example, Washington County Justice Court says if you've ever done a traffic school before or you've ever had a conviction, you're not eligible. Sherwood is 3 years, Beaverton is 3 years. So what was happening when folks were not eligible for the program, but they were close to eligible, is that I would need to set the case for trial so I could hear from the citing officer and give them an opportunity to be heard. So the traffic school program is something that Judge O'Brien and the police department worked out before I got here. So having to set all of those cases for trial, bringing an officer in so an officer could say, that sounds reasonable, they should go to traffic school, was a waste of time and money. So we found that 3 years is a good reminder for folks. So I made it up.
Great, thank you. I was just curious if there's a state statute.
There's no state statute that allows diversion for anything other than a first-time DUI. So circuit courts don't offer this program at all. They have to set the case for trial and meet with an officer, and an officer has to ask the judge, and a judge has to approve it. So that's one of the benefits of being a small local court,
Right.
is that we get to tweak things and make those arrangements, like the compliance program, to save those trials.
Great, thank you. And one last question, Mayor. Last year in your report, which I went back and read, you had mentioned that as a municipal court judge, I don't track revenue, but will work with the finance department, so I assume you Finance Director Eric Kang, towards getting that information out. So I was just curious if that was kind of relating to the question that Youth Counselor Vogel had asked, or if that was just a number we just haven't yet received.
Are you referring specifically to traffic revenue?
It says a photo enforcement. Curious about the financial aspects of photo enforcement. And it doesn't have to be answered tonight.
It's
I just
down
want-
roughly 60% than it was before. The total amount looks like, from all cases, and so these are cases that were closed and paid between April 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2024, appears to my liberal arts mind to say $1,644,082.10. So we just didn't give that information to you, but that's something that's actually one report that our system will run.
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge that I'd read it and that it's one more item you can tick off because you have finished it.
I just want to say thank you for everything that you do to be involved in the community and to be involved in your department. I know you're not going to be, the court administrator anymore, the supervisor, but y'all just sound like you have so much fun. It has turned into a place where people are excited to work and do a wonderful job, and it really shows in the way the teammates treat each other and are excited to be at work. And I think that's a direct reflection for the tone that you set at the top. So I want to acknowledge that and say thank you for everything that you do to help make our community more equitable, and the way that we look at fines, and also the way that you treat each other in the court. So thank you so much. Are there any additional last-minute questions? Yeah, City Manager Reimer.
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to build on what you had just said. The judge stepped in at a critical time for our organization, for the court team, a couple years ago, as she referenced. Her leadership really is what made our court team what it is today and what you just referenced. So publicly, Judge, I just want to say thank you. Glad you're staying on Team Tigard, and we know we're going to continue to have fun in that room with the new supervisor. So thank you.
Thank you all very much. And as you said, it comes from the top, and the top is you all and Finance Director Kang. So thank you all for giving the court team the ability to grow and become the wonderful place that we are. We're safe and cozy and feeling good and happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. The next item on our agenda is a legislative agenda item discussion in regards to the Tigard zip code, and we have Assistant to the City Manager Hendricks, Nicole Hendricks. Come on up, Nicole.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good to see you. My name is Nicole Hendricks, Assistant to the City Manager for the City of Tigard. So I'm here tonight to begin the discussion around one of our legislative agenda items on our federal agenda, which is for us to explore opportunities for Tigard to have its own zip code. I'll provide a high-level overview about zip codes, highlight some options to get your guidance on next steps, and share potential impacts and considerations of zip code changes. And then from there, I'll ask for your first thoughts on how we should proceed and answer any questions that you have. Next slide, please. That was just an overview of what I just said. Next slide, please. Sorry. So a little bit about zip codes. The United States Postal Service, or USPS, uses zoning improvement plan, that's ZIP, also known as zip codes, to help process mail quickly and efficiently. So codes typically align with mail routes and delivery. The way that the code is used operationally is that the first 3 digits represent, they call it sectional centers or large cities, and then the last 2 represent post office facilities or delivery areas. So these codes do have capacity limits, and therefore traditionally new codes can be created based on population growth or to improve postal operations. And this isn't the first time we as a city have had a conversation about zip codes. About 10 years ago, we had, the city had a blue ribbon task force that made a recommendation to council that to enhance community identity, we needed to have a distinct zip code from Portland. And more specifically, it was that 97223 and 97224 would appear then as Portland rather than Tigard. And that recommendation from the task force is in your council packet as attachment A, and I also included some news article in the agenda item summary that covered this topic from that time, which were they were fun to read. So for a couple years after that recommendation was presented, the city and our elected officials began efforts requesting to USPS that 97223 and 224 be listed as Tigard and not Portland. This also included an effort by our then Representative Margaret Doherty, where she successfully championed this House Joint Memorial at the state legislature, requesting that the Postmaster General of USPS classify both 97223 and 224 codes as separate from Portland. So after continued discussions between the city and USPS, USPS essentially landed on the stance that 97223 and 224 would recognize both Portland and Tigard as legitimate city names for zip codes. And one of those letters, I think, from USPS is also in your packet as attachment B. Next slide, please. So just diving more into our zip codes in Tigard, the 2 most common I've already mentioned, 97223 and 97224. And USPS officially recognizes the primary city still for both of these codes as Portland and the alternate city as Tigard. So for example, if someone writes down their address and they list Portland or they list Tigard with both of those, USPS will accept both addresses as valid, but if you kind of search it, it will likely pop up as Portland, and sometimes that confuses people because they're like, wait a minute, I live in Tigard, or things like that. So there's just some educational awareness around that as well. Next slide, please. Looking more closely at this map, which is also available in your packet. Also, thanks to our GIS team for making this map. So our Tigard city boundary is outlined in the dark blue. And again, so you'll see 97223 in the green and 97224 in the yellow. So you can see those are the primary zip codes. We've also listed the number of tax slots within each zip code and our city boundary. So for example, 97223 in the green, there are approximately 10,500 tax lots inside Tigard. And we also show a comparison that there are 6,100, or almost 6,200 almost, tax lots outside of Tigard. So the bulk of the 97223 zip code tax lots are within Tigard city boundaries. And the same goes for 97224. So there are 4 other zip codes within our city boundary: 97007, 97140. Those are in the River Terrace area, and then 97219 and 97035 on the east edge of Tigard. But you can see it's very minimal. There's only like a handful of tax lots with those codes. Next slide, please. So since our last efforts years ago, USPS has created a new process. They're calling it the boundary review process, where we can submit a written request to our district office, and they'll consider, and if possible, accommodate a request to modify zip codes. And that decision is provided within 60 days of our submittal. And if approved, USPS will conduct their own survey of impacted areas to confirm that those impacted are in favor, majority are in favor. And if they are, then USPS will notify the affected customers of the change. And they typically give a 1-year transition period. So if people are still using the old code, they'll still accept it. And then after that, people might experience delivery delays and things like that. Couple case studies to highlight. I'll just zip, pun intended, right through these just for time's sake. Sorry, that was bad. For nearby, in 2014, Beaverton and Aloha were given 2 new zip codes, which included changing existing codes to fit those new codes due to a lot of growth in the area. So I think that was approximately like 18,000 addresses that were impacted by the change. We also have the city of Bend, who received a new zip code, and the reasoning behind that was for more efficient and cost-effective mail delivery with added population. And the last was a unique, it's Congress can introduce legislation that would require USPS to create a zip code for a community. And the most recent example of that I could find was in 2006, and it was part of this Postal Accountability and Enhancement Act, and it required the creation of unique zip codes for 4 different cities. 2 of those were in California, 1 was in Ohio, and the other was South Carolina. And I do want to point out that we're growing as well. We have a lot of growth in our River Terrace area, and I asked our GIS team, and they said that there's about 2,300 new addresses in that area, and we'll continue to see an increase with more development. And lastly, I want to go over some potential impacts with zip code changes. So some obvious impacts would be updating materials that include zip codes, so things like address labels, letterhead, et cetera, other stationery. And then you have things like web information or automated messaging. A lot of things that you don't realize where they are, and then you're like, oh, got to update that. So other than that, the USPS states that for the most part, customers are don't have to worry, because publishers and like financial institutions and cities, we get this information through USPS, through Metro, and so these are like automated systems that are updated. So most of that information will be updated by these entities. We also just want to make sure that impacted customers are satisfied with the change, especially just from an operational standpoint, that people are still getting their mail. And going back to our Blue Ribbon Task Force, just the desire and sentiment to have a stronger community identity, and having Tigard have a primary zip code would help help that. And then for implementation and awareness, so USPS mentions they have some notifications to the impacted customers, but we would probably want to augment that with additional mailers and maps of current and future state on our website and more. So we would probably do a lot more work around that. And then zip codes are also used as tools for like organizing data, and so a lot of public opinion polling agencies use zip code data. I believe auto insurance premiums, it seemed like, can be based in part on traffic and crime statistics in someone's zip code. So there's things like that where outside agencies use zip codes as well. And then not listed here, but some of the financial impacts of these changes, one that are included in the above, but also the investment from our city team time to coordinate and resources to coordinate a public involvement process or input process for what we decide to do, navigating that process and discussions with USPS, providing just awareness with whatever decision is made in implementation. So yeah, I just want to recognize we have a lot of high priority projects in the city right now. And so just, and limited team capacity. So just that also being a factor in like how we decide to move forward. Next slide, please. So lots of high level information that I moved quickly through. The ask of council is to provide guidance on what exactly we'd like to pursue in terms of a zip code change. And this is just an initial discussion, so we can just get general guidance or we can follow up. I've listed some of those options below with a big change, maybe on one end of the spectrum, is requesting a new zip code that replaces all the current zip codes, which would require a lot of change, a lot of reactions, and a lot of information. So that one's kind of extreme from my opinion. And then we have things like keep an existing zip code and replace the other codes to match. Option C is request that 97223 and 224 list Tigard as the primary city rather than the alternate city. So kind of swap that with Portland, but keep that option. That current state is option D, as people can use both, but Portland's the primary. Or we can continue to discuss these options and do some more research as needed. And then in any of these, the next step is stakeholder engagement, starting to hear from businesses and community members that could be impacted. So with that, I'll hand it back over to you for first reactions or questions.
Thank you for all of this information, because I've historically been asked a lot about it, and so now I have a much better understanding about what goes into it. So we'll open it up for questions or council guidance. Anyway, I mean, I'm happy to go first. Okay. So my preference would actually be to do the B option, which is keep the existing zip codes of hopefully 223 and 224. Which includes moving anybody in the city of Tigard to those, because I can't tell you how many people are actually confused where they live, especially in the River Terrace area. They don't know, many of them are convinced they live in Beaverton. A guy yelled at me because he's convinced he lived in Sherwood. Like, people just don't know where they live, and I think when we talk about community engagement and wanting to continue to talk about a community identity and have people involved, when they don't know what city they live in, it's a really hard thing to do, especially because it's growing out there. Understanding that we have all of these other priorities and those sorts of things, I think moving forward, that would be my request. But hopefully keeping somehow 223 and 224 and making those Tigard. So the amount of change for our Tigard community would be minimal, except those who live in Tigard and don't use one of those, just because it's so confusing. Councilor Shaw?
Thank you. Enlightening. Yeah. And I would agree, not a lot of folks know which zip code that they actually live in. In the 2013 Blue Ribbon report, it mentions a survey. And I couldn't find, it was in the recommendations, it said, change the focus of the 2013 community survey, but I couldn't find any. So just curious, did you? And if not, I'm not asking for it to be found. I was just curious if that would lend any support to folks.
I did
saying,
not.
Okay.
And I know you're not asking it for it to be found, but I'm curious now, so I'll probably just do some sleuthing to find out.
Great. And then I definitely hear your concern about time and the ability of staff, because we have so much in front of us. So I definitely too would be interested, maybe not pursuing it this year, but I would be interested in putting it perhaps on a plan for 2025 to be reviewed. I also would want, and Mayor, I appreciate knowing that option B would be a proposal, given the fact you do live in River Terrace. So I wasn't sure if we needed to wait to add additional zip codes or just move them into the current zip code. So again, recognizing that we have a lot on our plate for this year, I would propose 2025, but those are my thoughts.
It's a perfect time to start talking about it, though, with community members, too. Yeah. Council President Hu?
Thank you, Mayor. So if we can go back to the slide of the picture of the map. I just have a question about so 97224 doesn't look like any of that belongs to Portland, right? If I read it.
Doesn't appear so, but that's how it's
But I don't
the
see it
primary
in
listing.
Portland, any part of that is in Portland.
correct.
So, so why is Portland primary? That doesn't make a sense to me.
I think a good next step is to talk to USPS and understand their reasoning.
Okay.
Because I don't have an answer.
And even 9.97223, is that the northern part outside of the city limit, any of that in Portland? Or is maybe some of it? I can't really.
That, I believe, is a unincorporated Washington County between Beaverton and Portland.
So none of
So they don't actually live in a city.
So yeah, so none of 9.72223 or 224 are in Portland. So I just don't understand why Portland is the primary. And I agree that, but I'm not opposed to option B, but I think to me option C would be the low-hanging fruit, just to switch the primary to Tiger. And then we can argue to post office like, this is ridiculous, none of it in Portland, so we should have Tiger at the very least be the primary, and if possible, delete Portland at all, altogether. But at least we can make a logical argument to them, right? Say none of us in Portland, so at least we can switch it. That's the very least you could do. And I don't know, that from staff bandwidth perspective, I would think C will, to me at least, would be the easiest or the most low-hanging fruit to pursue. And that's just my preference. So thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to see, I think, kind of more research of the expected time, because they could actually be similar lifts, potentially, depending upon the USPS process. And so if that's the case, I'd rather just have us go all the way than have to do an intermediate step that's going to be more work in the long run. So I guess my request is to understand potentially maybe the time commitment or expectation around perhaps B and C.
Okay.
Youth Councilor Vogel?
Yeah, I think C caught my eye originally just because it kind of has the city representation aspect to it, because we'd be like that primary portion of it. So I definitely think that would be a really good starting step, and then pulling in people from the other zip codes as well, just to it's kind of a mix of B and C, if that's a thing, mix between the two.
Yeah, and I guess along with that, if we were to do C, like the possibility of, if you live in the city of Tigard boundaries, to switch to 223 and 224, and perhaps look at a process, even River Terrace 2.0, as that is officially being brought in, if there's a way that we can also ensure that when you enter into the city of Tigard from the boundary, like you change your zip code because you're actually coming into a city. I think we have so many questions for you that you have no idea about. So,
and I'll find out more. We'll start talking with USPS and continue. It's research, and then it sounds like maybe a little more extended timeline, but we'll keep it moving.
Yes.
Okay.
And I do just also want to say, Councilor Wolf indicated she's concerned about the workload, and the low-hanging fruit, listing City of Tigard first. So,
okay.
But I think, B and C would be our preference, understanding the lift for either of those.
And then
That's what it sounded like.
also option E, which is continue to discuss options and research before making a decision.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Which is, Mayor, if I may, which is what I'm kind of hearing is your preferences in the B and C probably together, if ideally you'd put them together and have the two zip codes, Tigard primary. But our next steps will be exactly C focused on B and C. E focused on B and C, right?
Yeah.
So before you're making decisions, before you spend a significant amount of teammate time.
Sounds great. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
I'm going to propose a 10-minute recess. So we will be back at 8:10 p.m. Thanks, everybody. meeting. And next item on the agenda is the utility support discussion with Finance Director King. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilors. My name is Eric Kang, Finance Director. Today, we come before you at Mayor Loop's request to bring forward a discussion on Tigard's current program to assist Tigard residential utility customers. And tonight, we intend to provide information to Council and open it up for any direction or discussion on the topic. I want to start by sharing a high-level overview of Tigard's current existing program and share some information on what other jurisdictions are doing as well. At a high level, the current utility assistance program is intended to provide acute short-term assistance for residential ratepayers. The city does not have a program in place to provide any assistance on a long-term basis. And as a result, our last rate study, which was performed back in 2019, it factored in about approximately $20,000 to provide this short-term assistance program. And any sort of expansion of the program would need to be considered in a future rate study, which could have an impact on rates. So our current assistance program is focused primarily on our water service delivery, or the water portion of the bill. The reason for that is our sewer services are provided by Clean Water Services. Stormwater is also a shared responsibility with Clean Water Service and our city teammates. And the program is not intended to subsidize these charges, as those are governed by an intergovernmental agreement with Clean Water Services. So on the water assistance program, the program is administered by St. Vincent de Paul, and there are eligibility requirements to receive assistance, and the program itself is governed through a contract that the city has with St. Vincent de Paul. And so, as outlined in in your agenda packet, residential homeowners are eligible to receive up to $250. This is for a 12-month period, and they must also meet certain eligibility requirements, such as receiving other assistance programs or meeting certain income thresholds. Multifamily households are not eligible to receive assistance with this program. And the city's rationale was that this would be a form of rental assistance and that couldn't be tied directly with water services, as landlords have different ways of allocating water charges to their different tenants. In addition to the emergency assistance program or the short-term assistance program that's offered, the city does also have a payment plan. They offer up to a 1-year payment plan for past due balances to get them back into I'm losing my train of thought. Back into good standing, yes. And then I did also want to share a little bit about what some of the other jurisdictions are doing. So we looked at some of the neighboring jurisdictions, Tualatin, Sherwood, Beaverton, and Hillsborough. We did notate that the information for Beaverton wasn't available online. Since then, I have been able to gather more information on Beaverton, and they provide assistance directly to, or they have a contract directly with Community Action, and they only stipulate that it can only be used for residential customers and excludes short-term rentals and landlords, but they don't have any sort of criteria other than that. It's just a one-time payment, and they are required to make that work for the duration of the contract. As far as what the other jurisdictions do, or what programs they offer, we did note, generally speaking, the amount that's eligible per year. Tigard is comparable to what other jurisdictions offer. And with that, we did want to bring this back to, or open this up for any sort of questions or discussion, and also ask for the council to give staff guidance on whether we should explore other options or maintain current state. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing it forward. I think recently we had a community member express concern over our program, and so I appreciate you doing the research and bringing it back to us. I'll open it up for questions or comments. Does anybody? Yeah? Councilor Shaw?
Yeah, thank you so much, Finance Director King, for the thorough report. It seems to me we're in line with other cities and have provided the flexibility needed to assist community members to come back up and be in good standing. So I am fine if we leave it where it is, but also happy to entertain if there's additional thoughts. But thank you for the great work there.
Yeah, I think, do we have any information kind of on program usage rate through St. Vincent de Paul? Do we deplete, are all of our funds depleted? Is it like not enough dollars? Just wondering the utilization rate.
Generally speaking, the funds do get depleted every year before the full 12-month period. During the pandemic, so I will say some of the data is a little bit skewed, especially with the last couple of years during the pandemic. There were additional funds allocated through additional funding from ARPA and the CARES Act, and so there were higher amounts. We've since then reduced it back in fiscal year 24 to what was historical of $20,000 to St. Vincent de Paul. Those funds, I don't have the current numbers. They are expected to, we're projecting that they'll last through the 12-month period, but at this point, it's kind of unclear because the last couple year data is not normal.
My only request, I guess, would be then to sort of speak and work with St. Vincent de Paul to see if the $20,000 is still sort of adequate for the remainder of the year. Maybe it should be 25 or those sorts of things. The only other question I have for council is, are we comfortable at the $250 amount? Would we want to look at maybe matching to 300 with the cost of everything going up? And then that would mean that we would then, I think, need to raise the rate in order to accommodate the same amount of community members, rather than just letting less community members have more. So I think those are sort of policy questions that I have for council. Are you comfortable with the dollar amount? And then sort of ensuring that whatever dollar amount it is sufficient for the need, I think would be my sort of questions.
If I could just follow up on that. The way it's stipulated currently with St. Vincent de Paul is when the funds do run out, the program does close. So at the cap of the $20,000, there just wouldn't be new funding until next fiscal year.
Yeah, so my question back to you is, in the fiscal year, like, do they run out in like January, or do they run out in like May, June? Right? Because if we're running out in even April, that tells me that it's not sufficiently funded. I mean, I don't want to put an indiscriminate, absurd amount of money in there, but I want to make sure that, if someone falls into rough times in June, that they're not punished because their rough times were in June and not in August when the program was flush.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I would recommend we keep it at the 250, but explore, because I hear your concern about if it's the 20,000 is no longer available post-February, then there might be further need, and we can look then at further exploring adding to that total dollar amount. That would be my recommendation.
Okay. Council President who?
Yeah, I support doing further study on that, and also I'll be interested in knowing how many Tiger community member maybe per year on a yearly basis get their water shut off because of non-payment or insufficient payment. I think that will be helpful in making policy decisions.
Okay. Yeah, Youth Councilor Vogel.
Yeah, I just had the same question as Council President, who just looking at the numbers, because I think that can be helpful in this type of thing, and keeping it where it is, but if that can be expanded, that could benefit long term, so just looking at the numbers.
Do you feel like you have sufficient follow-up questions?
So I'm going to just recap it
Yeah.
for my sake. So what I'm hearing is to follow up on understanding whether or not the $20,000 is adequate to last for a full 12-month period. Also to provide any additional data available on shutoffs. And I believe that's what I have.
That sounds good to me. Thank you. All right. Excellent. There's no executive session or additional non-agenda items. Y'all are fighting over adjournment. You know, there was a time where I used to have to stare you down to make a motion. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you so much, Tigard. We are adjourned. Good night. Happy Election Day.